And what I have for you in this video is the sphere, the Earth sphere. Okay? All of this right here, you see how this is right here, the spherical disc, that's the land, the islands. There's no such thing as called, there's continents, but it's considered one giant island, sitting on water. It's floating on water, and there's these pillars that so here's an island here, right? And then there's these pillars that go into the water that are underneath. And this is how the water line system feeds it. It feeds the water line system to flow water up onto the island so that you get running water. Okay? And it's being filtered. A filtration system. Filtration. Okay? It's running up into the underneath into these pillar systems. And this is how he tilts this. He tilts it just a little bit to help feed the water. I'm sure it has to be tilted in order to give it more pressure that will go downhill, because this land will be it's moving at all times, either this way or this way, left or right, or up or down, okay? It's moving. It has to. The pillars have to move, okay? I'm just taking a wild guess. This is my theory. No one's ever seen it with their own eyes, so you should take an assumption that not everything that you hear is to be the truth. Correct? Because then you would just believe anything that anyone says, instead of taking it into your own mind. Ask God what you think about this idea and draw it up. And then as you're going through it, He may say in your mind, this is correct, this is not correct. And that's how you work with God on getting to an understanding, getting to a drawing that's going to be beneficial to where it's not copyrighted. It's your own copy print. It's your own copy of your own drawings, your own work. You put the time and the effort into studying the realm. The split, right here where the ocean splits, okay? This is going to be the split between day and night. I believe that's kind of where the line is drawn. And it's even drawn in the ocean. Okay, and it splits. Where the two oceans split. And it's two bodies of water. Two oceans. Ocean 1, the Atlantic, and the Pacific. And Ocean 2. Okay, so you got Ocean 1 and Ocean 2. They're split in the middle. One's going to be a dark, murky, brownish water. The other one's going to be more of a bluish, dark blue. They call it the dark blue sea. Okay? And what you want to understand about from here up, okay, 7 miles up to the firmament, which is called the troposphere, which is the firmament light also, because when the sun beams down and hits this firmament right here, it lights the whole sky and turns it blue. Okay, and it gives you the appearance that water's above you in the heavens. When it's just but then you also see that the sky can change. And then at night, there is no water above you because the stars are suspended above you, which means that you're inside of a pocket, and it's all compressed inside of an atom. You're inside of like some type of atom or something. We are. That's how you know God exists. He created the atom and stated in the beginning. Immortality relies outside of the time. That's what gives you the ability to time travel. If you were able to time travel, because you're not going to age, but everybody around you is going to age and turn different ages. So then you're not bound to the time anymore during the travel period, allowing you to experience going back in time. Maybe I don't know how easy it's probably a lot harder to go forward in time because none of the events happened yet. So if you get a glimpse into the future, none of the events happened yet, that's when you go back into the past and you try to save yourself. And this could have really occurred. As many movies that they've shown of time traveling, it is possible that sometime in the 40s or 50s we had developed a time traveling device. And that's why you've seen that, or later, maybe not even then, maybe it was later, a little bit further down the road, maybe 60s, 70s, as they were decoding this UFO that had the ability to jump dimensions. Now, if it's able to jump dimensions, then you can take it, break it down, and figure out how to time travel. It's the same concept to the dimensional skipping, the skipping of a dimension, skipping through time by bending it, compressing it, and sending yourself through it. Because if you're going to bend it and compress the paper, you're going to bend time into this compressed space, and you're going to somehow manage to go through there physically? No. So you're going to break down, and you're not going to really see it for yourself. You're not going to see yourself break down into a bunch of freaking atoms, but you're going to go into your spiritual body, and you're going to cruise through this thing, and you'll come out in your physical body. But the only way through is to separate the two, the physical and the spiritual. And that's the difference between heaven and hell. Hell, it's a straight drop through the Operation Fishbowl 1962. Sheol, the hell's entrance, okay, which is inside of this fish. They might have went after Leviathan in 62. In 62, when they had been in the submarines, they ran into a Leviathan. Decided that they had bigger weapons this time to try to take them out. We don't know how deep this really goes in 1962. There was a lot going on. The development of the nuke happened, so then they start nuking the water in 62. What were they trying to kill? Then you would need a nuke. That's in that water. The ocean. That's what you gotta ask yourself. Wonder why ships run a certain line. They're not allowed off the ship line. They have to ride a Pacific line. Why? Because it's the safest route on the ocean. The rest of it might be effed up. Might be some crazy stuff that goes on out there. You're in the middle of a 7.5 mile deep water. And you're not going to be scared? The most scariest place to be is on top of the water. And guess what? You live right on top of it. And you're going to talk smack to God, who created this system, designed this system, and you're saying you put the firmament in place. You put the sun in place. You put the moon in place. You put the islands in place. You gave it pillars. You gave it water flow. Bill, come on now, Bill. Give me an answer. What'd you do? What did your genius brain create? A TV show? A talk show? Come on, Bill. If you're so great, no God exists, Who created the day? Who created night? Why do you go to sleep? Why do you gotta wake up? Why do you gotta go back to work? Why do you gotta make money? Why do you gotta talk to people? Why do you gotta be friends with people? You start asking yourself enough questions, you might come to the realization it's not you. You didn't create nothing. You didn't create your friends. You didn't create your reality. You followed a path. That's it. And answered a couple choices. At the end of the day, you still went down either the right path or the wrong path. Depending on what path you walk, it's like playing Monopoly. You roll the dice, you get to go a couple spaces. And that's what life is like. It's just like a Monopoly piece. Okay? You throw the dice, you hit 12s, you move 12 spaces. You could even end up in jail. You landed on jail. Go to jail. Okay? This is my theory. What I believe it looks like. And all of this is gas. Gas. Right here is all this. 7 miles. From the time the water all the way up is all gas. If you think about it, when the sun hits the water, does it not turn it into a vapor? What does that become? A gas. It becomes the water molecule. That's how you fill the ocean up here. How do you think you're going to haul in 7.5 deep mile water? Because before you lay the water in place, you build the foundation. That's where the entrance to hell is. He built the foundation first to hell, and then put the water over top of it, and put the system in place that you would be on top of where the entrance to hell is. And it's right below your feet. And he allowed the way out of hell to be on the lands. Each piece of land. That there's these spiritual exit holes, man. They're like wormholes almost. Dimensional wormholes. I'm not even exactly sure how you can explain it. All I know is it could even be connected to the catacombs, the dens. That's why he speaks of the beast going back to the dens. Who are the beasts? Because he speaks of beast many times. So what does he consider a beast? A creature. We've seen that the devil's been depicted as a creature because he's even named the serpent. And he's not a physical being. It's a spiritual being with a heavenly body. Not bound to flesh and blood. Not bound to the physical. It's not bound to the physical, but it can appear to be in the physical. Some might call this the Night on Elm Street. Okay? Why? Because it was one of those Freddy Krueger type of nights. Okay? Grandpa went crazy. He went on a massacre after he got into a house fire. And he decided to slice everybody up in their sleep. Okay? They were sleeping. They were dreaming. They thought they were dreaming. But nah, it came out to be a reality. They all died in the house. It wasn't a dream. It really occurred. Grandpa came in after a house fire. He had burns all over his face. And he just couldn't live with himself anymore. Planes. Planes are flying way up here, about 3.5. Maybe not that high, but they're way up there. I don't have the exact specific height on the furthest jet we've had go up. Probably close to the stratosphere, 7.5. as far as jets. And then you would have to, but it has to arc. And the only way out is to arc. You have to arc your way out. That's probably why they call it the Ark. Noah's Ark, because it was like a hint to tell you the only way out is to arc out. Why? If you go straight up and you blow up. Every time, because you hit the firmament. The invisible firmament. This thing is invisible. But it's as hard as bronze glass. And it's bronze glass, he said. It's hard as bronze glass. It's so hard. And it's glass, so you can't even see it. And when you smack it, boom! Blow up. Every time. He stated in Job, the job on how he built the earth, is that he built this heavenly firmament system as bronze glass. And the only way out was to arc at light speed. You're only allowed at light speed. That's why he called it the firmament light. I mean, I'm not 100% sure on that, but we've never seen him leave neither. You ain't never got in that ship and flew up and seen where the heck they landed. You don't know where the heck these guys went. You don't know if they've ever left. Because from what I've seen is the only ones that come in here are the ones that got light speed. That are flying around in the universe. That can bend dimensional time. Go through wormholes and enter into your dimension. It's probably why he called it the firmament light. That's why he calls it the children of light. I don't have the exact time frame on speed, on how the trajectory of speed, but I don't know how fast you can get within 7.5 miles. How much speed can you really propel with jet fuel? Going straight up. How fast can you go? You're probably not allowed to leave till you get the gravity low. That's when you're able to leave. Because that's what Interstellar showed us. That you weren't able to leave as a colony. You're only able to leave by leaving have 4 or 5 people go. That's it. And you would spend all this money instead of investing your time in trying to figure out the law. You spend all this money, but guess what? You had to get to the understanding. So that's why you would build your way through the understanding of how all the travel works, the basic travel to you're understanding basic travel outside of the earth. Basic instructions before leaving this earth. That's all you would have. Is the basic instructions to the heavens. That's it. That's all man would have. Basic instructions to what the heavens is about to show you. And that's all you would have. You would be rookies. But you'd be in the advancement because you'd be doing your first experiment, but where it would take you down the road of passing the knowledge down is up to the characters now. If the characters decide to pass down the knowledge, the colony grows to an advanced colony. If it decides to be stingy and hold the knowledge back, then it becomes a basic colony. The colony is basic. It doesn't want to advance. It wants to stay dominant over characters instead of advancing the colony altogether. I don't understand the concept, the logic behind what you guys are operating under down here, but it's demonic. Because it's that basic mindset, not the advancement mindset. We should all be advanced. Should we not? There should be no low, poor people. 99% of the planet is fucking poor and has no education. What? With as smart as we become, how is that only 1% of the world hold all the information? And that's what we're talking about. The archons. The enemy. The enemy of the state of mind. One's mindset. This whole fishbowl has to have a filtration system here. And it uses the land and what's on the land to filter what's in the water. I would assume it has to work that way. They'd have to coincide and work together, right? Land and water, they'd have to work together through the filtration system because that's how it's going to filter fresh water in through the system. Where does the fresh water come from? If we're surrounded by ocean, then it would have to come from the ocean and it's all filtered water. The salt is taken out of the water. And we got bad ocean water. Wonder why we got bad land water. You pollute, when you could just take it to a volcano and dump it there. Why don't you dump all the trash in a volcano? Wouldn't it just disappear? Instead of metal, we're not talking about metal, we're talking about just trash, like plastics and stuff. You want to melt it down, reuse it, recycle it, however you want to do it. There shouldn't be so much trash out here, so much pollution. We have solutions, but we don't have the characters in position to put the solutions into effect. We're playing in a freaking house of pigs. Slobs. All they want to do is sell drugs, listen to gangster, hustling, drug-killing music, and sit there and have sex with a bunch of females all day long. That's all they want to do. These characters are recycling a replay of the same exact effect day in, day out on what they do and how they operate. They just want to look at ash all day instead of fucking clean the earth up and get us out of this mess with God. God is pissed, man. This earth looks like shit. It's not safe for any of the animals. It's not safe for the mammals. It's not safe for the insects. How is it going to be safe for men if those three things that were here before you are damaged into extinction? Besides what reproduces itself rapidly. Rapid reproduction. Why? Because those are the most important jobs. Probably. You need the most workers on the most important jobs. I'm sure the ants have something to do with putting pores into the earth. Why would ants be on the earth? Has anybody explained that? Why do they dig them? How do they dig into the earth anyways? You know how hard it is to dig in with your fingernails? These guys are like this big, digging into the earth, no problem. No problem. That's the thing about an insect. They can dig better than you can. You got to use a tool. They use their bodies and their limbs. We're talking about, it's magnificent how you designed it. If you study it. If you don't, then you become dull. It depends on what you like to study. My thing is, I like to study things from the mind and see if I can come up with answers without having to look at things. Like get a couple things together that I need, just the basics to some of the things I need, and then come up with something maybe closer, similar to what the original drawing is, based on my own thoughts. And then that's how you come up with a theory. And you build your own theory, you become your own visionary. You have to become a visionary. You have to see a vision. of your life in some other altered universe. And you will bend time into that universe, into this, like, you will bend time into how you wanted it. Because God will manifest it. If it's in God's will. If it's not in God's will, then it's not in His will, and it will not manifest. Then you have to go to the devil and sell your soul. Because God's not going to give it to you. So the devil, if you're going to go to the devil and bargain with him, so not a bargain you want to bargain with, not a guy you want to bargain with, because he doesn't bargain nice. He takes your soul and crushes you. You call that a deal, then that's a deal on your dumb ass that made a stupid mistake. Who sells a soul anyways? How can you sell a soul that you don't even own? That's what I want to know. Does anybody have the answer to that? How can you sell a soul and believe in the soul, and you can sell your soul to the devil, yet you won't believe in God? We know you operate under the devil. If you don't believe in God, the only thing you can believe in is the devil. You understand that? Double trouble. You're double the trouble. You're up to something in the voice, the mind, and you're wicked there, inside, internally. Not expressing yourself externally into the world as you're evil, but when you express yourself internally, you're evil. You hide it and masquerade it on TV. But when you get behind closed doors inside of your mansion, you're evil and wicked. We know how the game works. It's like Truth or Dare. You ever played it? It's the same game that was played down here in the Garden of Eden. Okay? In the Garden of Eden, the game Truth or Dare appeared. He took it to the female, said, "Truth or dare?" She said, "I dare." She said, "Dare." He said, "I dare you to eat the fruit that God told you not to eat." And she was like, "Well, God told me not to eat it." And she goes, "But I'll be as wise as him," is what you're saying. And he was like, "Yeah, you'll be as wise as him." And she was like, "Well, shoot, then I'll be as smart as God. I'll be like God." And in that moment, when you ate that fruit, you had the thought that you became like a God. And that's why you believe you're above God now. Because your intelligence tells you that you're above God. When you're below, you're not even in the heavens. You're sitting on a freaking, you can't even jump higher than 6 feet. None of you can. None of you can even get to 6 feet anyways, unless you bent your knees up. But on a straight vertical jump, ain't nobody jumping higher than like 4.5. Unless you got springs for freaking legs, or you're like a reptilian. A reptilian can jump like 22 feet. And their legs don't spring down like ours. They spin inwardly. These kneecaps go in. They're shapeshifters. I swear they jump like 22 feet, 25 feet in the spirit realm. They're spiritual entities, spiritual bodies, heavenly beings that were punished, and they were called fallen angels. All fallen angels are spiritual beings. You understand that, right? Not bound to flesh and blood. They don't hang out in the physical realm. They hang out in the spiritual realm, battling it out for our lives. Battling it out for good versus evil, night versus day, day versus night. Just even between day and night, day shows that the light always wins. When the light shows up, does it not outshine the darkness every time? Where does darkness appear when light shows up? Nowhere. It would take a storm. Some type of atmospherical change within the gases, that'll give you a different appearance. Maybe hail, maybe rain, maybe snow. Depending on what time of the year it is, will be difference in the atmospherical gas that you're going to experience when it hardens up. It depends on how it drops. The water molecules in the sky. When they start colliding in the storm's going to brew something up. It could brew up some hail. Big old golf ball size of ice just raining down on you, smacking you. That's when God's throwing ice at you. You ain't never been... You don't want to... Dude, be out. The only thing that saves you from a hailstorm is the freaking cars. Other than that, half of y'all would have been stuck, getting smacked out the park. God would have killed you by hitting you with a hailstorm. Say you can escape God's wrath. You escaped it by building things around it that made you believe that you were above God because you were building things that protected you from God. Because God was killing you by just bringing in storms, like a hailstorm. He'll smack you in the head with a golf ball. Shut up. Smack you in your head, maybe even shit on you with a bird from the heavens. He likes doing that sometimes. He likes, you talk all that shit, he might shit on you.